To welcome everyone here. My name is Council Lady Brenda Haywood, and I'm the Vice Chair. And our Chair, Council Lady Lee, is en route. She was held up by traffic, so she will be in shortly. And when she arrives, I will call her to her respective seat, okay? Today is, of course, Tuesday, August the 6th, and I detect a quorum. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the rules confirmation and public elections. So we're actually going to start, in interest of other meetings that are going on, we're going to start with our resolutions, and we will start with Resolution RS 2019-1833, and that's Council Lady Virtue.
Council Lady Virtue is not here, and I'll sign on to that.
Okay, thank you so much. And this seeks to recall of Mr. Tom Lawless from the Metro Board of Zoning Appeals pursuant to Section 11-109 of the Metro Charter and Rule 45 of the Metro Council Rules and Procedures. Could you speak to that?
I will speak to it. As we know, Tom Lawless was nominated to serve on one of our committees, and he came before us, and there were a lot of neighborhood groups who expressed some concern in opposition to his appointment. We asked that the appointment be indefinitely deferred. The administration did not want to indefinitely defer him, and so we wanted to work out some of the issues with the community groups with his appointment. In the process of doing so, we didn't have a quorum one time, and then it came late, and then in the next meeting, we brought back what the issues were, and there was some concern about him representing a lot of the developers and not necessarily being on the side of the people who are in community groups. So it was the bias thing that people brought up. And as you know, we were not advised by our legal counsel. We didn't know this. Our Antoinette shared, our chair, that she was not aware from legal counsel that if we deferred the third time, then that's an automatic appointment, and that's something that the Rules Committee plan to take up in the next council administration that comes up. They're going to take that up because she was not aware that a third deferral would actually automatically appoint him, and that wasn't advised to this group beforehand. So out of respect for those who want to show that they do not support this appointment, to a lot of community groups who are really upset that we're not listening to them, if we bring it back, then people can vote how they want to vote, and it'll be over with. Okay. And so that was the whole point with Council Lady Virtue, bringing it back to allow the body to vote, and they can vote one way or the other, and it'll be done. So the ones who want to vote no can vote no, and the ones who support his appointment can support it.
Okay, at this time, could I get a motion and a second in order to bring it before the council committee?
Motion.
Okay, could I get a second?
I plan on abstaining on it. I've done business in cases with Mr. Lawless on the other side in the past, and will again in the future.
Okay.
So
Could I
plan
get a
to abstain.
second?
You
moved it, right? No, she moved it.
She seconded.
She moved it.
She moved it.
Oh.
And I just need a second to bring it before discussion.
You can second it, Jacobia.
Well, second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to, thank you. Yeah. I'd like to open it for the committee discussion. You said, did you have?
I'm going to abstain for the reason I just mentioned.
Right, so that's his discussion.
So let me get some clarification. So I will admit that I have thought about this, but time keeps passing in between it coming up before us. So I understand that how the automatic appointment happened.
Right.
This recall, does it just bring it back to a vote at the council, or it kicks him off the board, or does it allow them to do a new appointment? Can we run through that again, or is Jameson
It's
around?
Mr. Jameson's not here, but
Right
it's
here.
my.
There he is.
Where are you?
My twin brother is here.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you, because it was my understanding that this would be it for him.
It would remove him from the board, but not to the prejudice of being renominated at a later date.
Right.
Oh, okay.
When you're out.
I guess I was a little bit under the impression that it just puts it like back on us like a regular appointment, but this kicks him off
Off
the
of
board.
this.
And has he attended any meetings? And does this jeopardize the ruling of the BZA in those 2 meetings that he attended?
No, his membership is legitimate while he's serving at the moment.
Okay, any other discussion? Mina? Council Lady Johnson?
Do we have to give any reason to vote one way or the other, or it's just action?
Yes.
So so if we approve in here, this resolution will move to the whole council. And if by any chance we don't approve, Richard, and then it does not gonna move to our council.
It still
So
goes
it's
to the
up to
council.
us to,
It still goes to the council.
Still goes to the council.
It's just
But
a
it's the
question.
same process that we always go through. We vote, and it's the same process. So any,
But this process kicks him off the board.
No, it just move to the
Okay.
council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay, any further discussion
I
before we?
think Councilman Pulley
Oh,
wants to be recognized.
you want to be recognized? I thought you would just let me know that you were here, because
No, I
No.
just want to be recognized on this issue if I can.
you can be recognized.
Thank you very much. Tom Wallace is my constituent, and I know that there's been a lot of attention garnered to his nomination to this board, which led to the deferrals, and I just want to let the board know, or the committee know, what I know about him, and he has served diligently on the Oak Hill board. There's been some misinformation put out there about Tom in that he represents real estate developers, and I think I need to be clear that he's a bankruptcy lawyer, and to the extent that he represents those real estate developers as a representative of a creditor, which oftentimes finds them on the other side of the aisle from him. So I did take a pretty deep dive into his record on the Oak Hill board, and I found that Tom Wallace is an attorney. He's a follow-the-law kind of guy. So I would say from a neighborhood perspective, anyone who comes in with a hardship better darn well have one if they expect for a guy like Tom to side with them. So that's his credentials. So I believe this is a matter of process, and it's a process argument at the mayor's office, which, we're going to have an election here in a month or so. So if you've got a process issue with the mayor's office, then I would certainly not like to see you not put the crosshairs on Tom, because it's my position that he would be a really good, excellent member of the BZA, as he's demonstrated during his time with Oak Hill. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Okay, don't see any conflict of interest at all, council?
I don't see any, no, not from my research.
Madam Chair.
Sure, you're recognized.
So I'm going to abstain, but just to clarify one thing that Councilman Pulley said. So he is a bankruptcy lawyer. He does represent banks mostly. The banks most frequently are lending to real estate interests, and so it would be open for people to argue either sides, whether that means he's always adverse to real estate interests because he's representing the bank, or whether it would be in the bank's best interest for the real estate lenders to do, or borrowers to do well. And part of the reason why I'm abstaining is because I think that his actual practice could be argued either way by different people.
If I may express
That's
my
interesting.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
So I
you're
think I
recognized.
heard during his appointment is because we do have satellite city. Mr. Lawless happened to live in one of the satellite city, and then this particular board is discussing within the Davidson County, which his residency has nothing to do with it. So this board particularly act as a judicial, pseudo-judicial body, so not really experiencing, not having actual consequences, may kind of weigh, his judgment. So I think that's the, input I have received. So the person who live outside of Davidson County can really understand the complex consequences of his decision will affect the resident of the neighborhood. So that's the concern I have, and I wish we had a proper time to weigh on during the proper appointment period, but unfortunately we missed the opportunity to do so.
Thank you.
Can I just make one clarification?
Sure.
Because I heard Councilman Pulley say using this as something to get to the administration. I just want to be clear that it's nothing against the administration at all. It's just that we had a lot of neighborhood groups, and I shared those messages because I think people should know what other people are saying about them, so they have the opportunity to go and clarify this and make sure there's no misunderstanding. So I did speak with him at length, and there is a conflict, and I think as we go forward on this council body, whatever administration is in, is that we need to look at conflict of interest, and where there appears to be some gray area, we may want to stay away from it, because the perception among people is that we are appointing people with these conflicts and they are against the communities, and that's part of what we're seeing now in the neighborhoods. And so if we're not able to get in front of that and clarify some of those things and distinguish between them, then people are going to feel that way. And I had enough to come forward. I shared it with them, and I was not comfortable moving forward, because I do support our neighborhoods, and I do believe that there are other people with the same skill set that we could find to put on one of those boards that do not have those perceived conflicts. But it's absolutely nothing against the administration. It's just all the neighborhood groups, and I'm sure you got the same emails I got, and if you haven't, I'll be happy to share those with you.
I've gotten plenty of them.
Yeah, so.
Well, we did receive several emails, and the community was oftentimes kind of vehemently concerned about him as a candidate, and that's why we've gotten to this point. I'm just really interested in okay, we're going to recognize you. So I'm really interested. I think it's like an oxymoron almost, like you can, each side could argue, with him being the bankruptcy lawyer, and then you look at it,
That a lot of, as Councilman Pulley said, a lot of the emails, it's not their fault, but there was misinformation. He does. I've worked on cases with him many times because the bankruptcy bar isn't that big, and I've always known him to represent banks or other creditors, not real estate interests. So the assertion that he represents a lot of real estate interests is just demonstrably not true. If somebody wanted to try to make the argument that, yeah, but the lenders are maybe better off if the real estate interests do well, like that would be factually true, but then we start getting, it's like we all got a conflict then, because we all know somebody who has an interest in something. So I'm bothered by the not correct information, but to discount the concerns completely, I don't want to do that either.
Yeah, because I was wondering, is the misinformation to the degree that we should not take it into consideration?
Yeah, and then, the truth is, as I've mentioned, in my bankruptcy practice, I end up representing borrowers, he represents lenders. Like, I end up feeling very conflicted, because there will become a day where he's on the other side of the case representing a bank and I'm representing a borrower, and it's going to happen again, and I end up feeling like I've already probably shared more than I ought to, because I'm not totally objective because of my law practice.
And that's understandable. But just, it seems like by virtue of the fact that there's so much vacillating back and forth, that creates somewhat of a concern in and of itself. Yes, come in, Council Lady Lee. Come right on up.
And please continue. Don't let me interrupt.
No, you come on. I'll continue, but you can just come right here and honor the chair. Okay, you're recognized.
So, I too know Tom through professional connections and things like that, and personal connections and things like that. I will say that I had to miss the meetings that he was up before us because of other committees and things, other council obligations here. I'm torn because I think it was a teeny tiny loophole that was exercised in the best interest of the strong mayor charter setup that we have. That yes, should our staff, our body, and our clerk be more aware of that and watching that kind of ticking time bomb? We now know our lesson for sure. I guarantee you this council is not going to let that happen again. I think I can speak for our staff with that. And so it does upset me that this was almost, I feel like it was used against us almost, right? But then I understand the neighborhood's concerns that they voiced to us. I also understand the need for a balanced board where people think that they are going to get a fair shake no matter whether you're the developer or the violator or the one seeking a variance or the one opposing a variance. And so I'm going to abstain in this committee because I do think this is a discussion that the whole council should be a little bit more aware of and discuss, because it's something that a lot of times here in rules, I think by virtue of being on this committee for the last 4 years, when I've talked to other council members who have not been on this committee, I don't think that they necessarily feel and understand the impact that we go through, or at least the weight that I feel when we're making this decision on some of these people. So I'll be abstaining just to make sure this kicks it onto the floor, and I'll be interested in hearing the floor debate from our fellow council members.
Okay, you're recognized.
Thank you. And certainly understand and respect all the feelings that the council members have. Mr. Lawless is not here tonight because the resolution as drafted was specifically talking about procedural inequities. And so at no point was the recall about his performance or conflicts of interest. And that is in no way mentioned in the resolution. It's purely about procedural inequities. So he thought that's what we would be discussing today. So the administration advised him not to attend tonight. That's of no disrespect to this body in general, but because that was kind of what we were talking about, we thought that the administration could handle that argument for him. So I'm not able to speak to some of the concerns that you guys are specifically raising because the resolution is drafted, and what I thought we'd be debating was on the process that we went through. So, you know, the process that brought Mr. Lawless to this committee is the same process that these volunteers that are in the back of the room were brought to tonight. I mean, we submit the letter to the clerk in the same way we did for Mr. Lawless, the same way that these folks are here. And so was there a breakdown in the process that can be argued, you know, one way or the other, but the fact of the matter is, you know, wasn't really prepared to talk about his conflicts of interest. I think Council Lady Bircher's resolution talks about the process and recalling him based on the process. And so,
Thank you, and that's well taken. Councilman Mendez.
So, Mr. Jameson, on process then, isn't it your view that Mr. Lawless shouldn't have been installed when he was?
I read the language of the charter is the council having 60 days after receipt of the letter. That's the direct plain language of it. And I would have assumed that the council had the July 2nd meeting, committee meeting to consider the matter. That is, I understand the interpretations of others. Mine was just to read the plain language, had 60 days from receipt of the letter.
And so not to put too fine a point on it, but your legal advice to us as a council is that the administration's read of the charter and installing Mr. Lawless when they did is incorrect?
I would disagree, but I think reasonable minds can differ on it.
And the administration's reading requires skipping a word in the charter?
I may not be following, but I mean...
Right. I mean, you can say it.
Should we put our attorneys in the hot seat?
I mean, that's the substantive issue. If we're just going to talk about the substantive issue,
Right.
There's a practice of not interpreting the charter the way it's written, and that was what was followed here. And fundamentally, I think whether we're going to pick a fight over picking, reading every word or not comes down to whether people want this particular person on the BCA or not.
Discussion.
I think ultimately it's a very simple, it's very simple. Let the people vote and be done with it, and that's just it. We've had these discussions. We've talked with the administration. Every time we've had an appointment and there's been some perceived conflict, I know for a fact that I have reached out to them and shared, these are the conflicts. The proper thing to do is when someone comes before us, and I'm not saying, because we get letters all the time about different people, but I think we all have the ability to decipher what is substantive and what is, probably just somebody disagreeing with someone. So when we do get some things that has substance to it, and we let the administration know that this person there's a perceived conflict, that is the cue for you to go and address it, bring some information. The reason why he was deferred the first time is because we brought these things forth and we did not have the information. The second time he came back and we brought it forth, we did not have the information. The third time, we barely had a quorum in here. Then one person came in, and then everybody said, well, let's just defer it because other people said they did not receive the information that they needed. So I don't want to kick it over to us 100% because I think when, and I've had the privilege of serving under 2 administrations now, when we had issues with prior people appointment, we let them know they would defer it, kind of meet, have conversations so that we could go back and respond to some of these concerns. And I sent Tom some of those things that, people said that were concerns of them. I didn't feel like they were addressed to the point where I felt comfortable. And I think what's fair is to allow people to just vote, just let them vote, let them put the information out there, let them vote and be done, and we can move on. It's just that simple. I think every appointment should be voted on. I don't think that there should be a loophole in the process that circumvents the people from going through this process. And if that is the case, then why do we even go before rules? If we're going to have a process like this, then the administration or the mayor appoints them and they don't even come before us. The purpose of them coming before the Rules Committee is to give the people a voice. And by us going with this loophole in the process, I think it's silencing the people who have a voice. And the thing is, let people vote and move on. And that's fair to everybody.
Okay. Mr. Jameson, could you have a final word before we vote? I just want to hear if you have anything to say before we vote.
I can't think of anything to add.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, it's been moved and seconded. We've had our discussion. At this time, we will take a vote. And the vote is all in favor of Mr. Lawless. Would you indicate it by raise your hand and say aye. All in favor?
Is it in favor of the resolution?
Favor of the resolution.
Yeah, of the resolution, yes. Of the resolution, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, that's 2. All in favor of the resolution? Okay, aye, that's 3.
I abstain.
Okay. All against? Oh, we have 2 abstentions?
Abstention.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's 4.
And I think in the future, it will be advisable that the chair knows the rules and all of us are aware of those rules before deferring. Because I think someone said, well, this is the 3rd time. And
Our agenda probably
She
needs a
hadn't even
timeline on it.
given, she hasn't given out what the vote is yet.
Oh,
While y'all-
it's 3 for the resolution and 4 abstentions.
And can I say one thing?
Yes.
I think the issue here is pretty clear. We've got 2 legal counsels. They've interpreted the charter the 2 different ways. And it's taken up a lot of our time when all they had to do was pick up a telephone and call each other and say, how is this going to be interpreted? And I don't think that, and I'm looking at both of y'all, we spend a lot of time down here, and we take a lot of time away from our families, and we shouldn't be sitting here arguing over this. Y'all could have called each other and made a decision on which way it was going to be interpreted.
We did call each other, Councilman.
Okay, so you turn it back over to me?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. You all heard the vote. Okay.
Let's go.
So now we will go to the next one. Next resolution recognizes Joseph Anthony Syracuse upon the occasion of his earning an Eagle Scout Award. Councilman Pulley?
Yes, I'm now happy to be bringing forward the most controversial resolution of the evening.
Wow.
Recognizing Joseph Anthony Syracuse upon the earning of his Eagle Scout. And you might note the name, it is the son of our very own Jeff Syracuse. So proud Papa will be very happy if you would support this resolution.
Move to approve.
Second.
Is he going to have to recuse himself from the floor?
We got so much
It's
stuff.
been moved and seconded.
just
Any other
Syracuse.
discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you. It is unanimous. What did I say?
We're all in favor.
7. Okay. Next, we've got Resolution 1865 by Withers, Allen, and others, and this honors Nicholas Zappos upon his outstanding leadership and many accomplishments as a Chancellor of Vanderbilt University.
Move to
Did I
approve.
see?
Second.
It's been moved and approved. Any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
So I've been attempting to sign on to this. I have not gotten the paper in front of us. If we can pass that around, since he is my constituent, I would have liked to have been second at least, but we'll
All right, I'm
sign
sure
on
that
wherever I
that will
am.
come around. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? All right, it is done. 7-0, thank you. Next, we've got Resolution 1866 Hayward and Cooper. April the 19th as the Municipal Day for observances, the honor, and the victory of nonviolent resistance, and also the brave actions of Z. Alexander Luby and the local civil rights advocates in the battle against Jim Crow.
Move to approve.
It's been moved and it's been seconded. Any discussion, please? No? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Next, we've got Resolution 1869, Councilman Davis, Anthony, and Rosenberg, recognizes the Metro Nashville Public Schools Board of Education's decision to name the transportation building the Carlisle Beasley Junior Building.
Move to approve.
It has been moved to and approved. It has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please note by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay? Abstentions? All right, thank you, sir. It has been moved. It has been passed. Next, we've got Resolution 1870, Henderson, Council Lady Henderson, and it calls upon the Davidson County Election Commission to promptly make available onto its internet website all disclosures required under state law to be admitted by the affiliated political campaign committees.
Is there a letter?
I know she's here. Does somebody want to, can we roll this to the
No,
heel and
this is
somebody grab her?
police.
I'll move it to the heel.
Okay, let
Somebody
me make
wants to get
sure
her?
first, please, that there's,
Angie, thank you.
let me make sure first, please, that there's no letter that I'm overlooking. Okay, it has asked to have been rolled to the heel, so we will roll that down to the heel. So let me forget to come back to it, please. Okay. Council Lady Bircher. Okay, those are late files. I've got a late file. Is she in here? Are you, anybody else sign on this? 1861, the late file.
What is that?
Substitute instilled partial ID.
This is a housekeeping, it's a parcel number correction.
On that, I'll sign on to that to move it forward.
Move approved.
Second.
Okay. Do you want to?
1870?
Because just 1861.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
The prior to that, 1870, I signed on it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
All right, so let's finish the one that we're on now, since it has been moved, but it's a late file, so we don't really have to vote on it, correct? So is it okay, is it the census to go ahead and late file it?
That's the late file on the amendment. We still have to vote on the resolution.
Okay, well,
It
she
looks
just
like-
came in.
Hello.
Hi, come on, would you like to come on up and have a conversation with us? Yes, so we're on your late file 1861.
Yes.
No, we're not.
No,
We are on, that's it. No, we're not.
Not
That's it. No, we're not.
Timely file.
So we are on your resolution 1870.
Yes. And if I could, Mr. Jameson, related to PACs and their filings, I know that we've spoken with the Election Commission so that that was kind of aligned with our legislative intent. And to be frank, at this juncture, is that something, based on the feedback that you've gotten, that we...
I think they have posted to their website and have disclosed their intent to continue to post timely upon receipt of the filings from the state as of July 15th. So they may contend that they are complying now and intend to comply in the future.
Okay. Colleagues, my intent in filing this bill was related to local PACs and their disclosures, and they are somewhat offset from our filing deadline per the Election Commission with our local campaign filings. And up until, I believe, Mr. Jameson, this election cycle, they were not available online. One would have to go over to the Murfreesboro Pike office to obtain the PAC financial filing. I do appreciate that upon intent to file, Mr. Jameson was in touch with the Election Commission, and they expressed that they already had the intent to put those online. So with that, I guess, I would like to go ahead and move ahead with this, just so there's some awareness about these. Thank
It's
you.
been moved and seconded. Any other questions or conversation? Then all those in favor, please denote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? There you have it. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Okay, so now back to the language. Sir, I'm going to ask if you would kind of explain that, the 1861. So do we just need to go ahead and, because it's going to be an amendment on it, so do we need to hear that amendment?
Are you on the late file?
Yes.
Yeah, this is simply a
Late file
parcel
amendment.
correction. There's an ID number, and it was off by a digit, and they've corrected that digit. It's a typographical error
Okay.
correction.
Okay, so what is the committee's?
I think it's fine.
Yeah, there's no urgency with the, there's urgency on this one probably.
Okay, I have another late file, Councilmember Van Rees. This is Resolution 1868. This supports the Sunday's mass shooting in Dayton, Ohio.
That's me.
No, there's not there should be a number here. Our agenda's wrong. That's a different one.
Okay. So we're on Van Rees. Then it does not have
We don't have the description.
a description of what that is. Please, please.
Thank you very much. The 1868 is the resolution concerning the horse issue, for lack of a truncated way of putting it. After seeing Councilmember Murphy, sorry, I'm so tired right now. Councilmember Murphy's amendment to my resolution, I took into account some of the language that she incorporated and therefore made an amendment to my resolution. And so this late filed amendment to my resolution basically adds to the existing resolution the idea of the council going on record as supporting the passage of additional federal legislation to ensure that all horses are free from soring and abuse. All horses. And then Section 5 is added for the clerk to be directed to send a copy of the resolution as amended to each member of the Tennessee delegation of the United States Senate. So those are two items that Councilmember Murphy incorporated as well in her resolution, only the language is different. And so I wanted to make sure and offer my version of a compromise in regard to that. So that's why I'm filing this late amendment to the resolution 1868.
Okay. What is the pleasure of the committee?
I have no.
If I can, just for clarification, I know that Council Lady Van Rees thinks this is a compromise amendment, but I want to be clear that her amendment does say for substantive stake, even though that's not what we're debating here, her amendment does talk about federal legislation. My amendment is specifically the past act that passed the House already. So there is actually a very big difference between the two. But we're just debating the late filed.
Right. We are talking about the late filedness and if the committee agrees to go along to approve the late filedness. Yes.
Respectfully to the council lady, I didn't hear a reason why it needed to be late, so I would be a no on this.
Okay, well, let's, why is it being?
Fair enough, and I appreciate you asking the question, Mr. Mendez. The reason it is late is because I took into account the language offered in the amendment that Ms. Murphy offered and felt like that it would be better served for my resolution to contain the majority of that language, and so I wanted to add it to it. That's the reason for the late file.
Okay, is that?
I'm still no.
Yeah, but you understand?
I understand.
Not agree, you understand?
I understand what you said.
Your question was answered. Okay. Any other questions?
So would that be urgent? Can it be wait to kind of clean up till the next meeting?
If you would prefer to not support my amendment in this committee, I will still bring it before the full council because I believe the amendment is stronger with it.
Okay, so we are looking at whether we want to approve. We usually listen to the reasons why it comes to a late file, not the substance of what she's bringing, but just if we approve the late file. So what is the committee's pleasure?
I don't have any problem with the late file.
I don't have a problem with none of them. I think I've been clear on that. I've been consistently, it's fine with me, so no matter what it is.
Okay. On just the late fileness of it, not the substance.
I understand. I'm happy to be outvoted. I'm going to be a no.
How are you?
I'm torn here, biased of course, because I feel that Council Lady Van Rees's
reason for late filing?
Right. I think that, and I mentioned to her briefly in the hallway earlier that we could just defer that to work out because the Health Committee did put on my timely filed amendment and her amendment that conflict. And so I don't see the urgency to move forward with hers, but I also will say that I have to ask for a rule suspension because I do have a compromise substitute for my bill again. So clearly I think I'm abstaining on this one because I am conflicted.
Okay.
I think that it could wait, but I will let the committee decide.
We had not been really voting. We had been kind of saying what the feeling is. So let's talk, and I knew you had a question about what if we want to ask maybe for her to defer it. It sounds like we can approve or disapprove the late file, and she's going to bring it up in the main gallery anyway.
I
So
mean, I think you can say that the committee was
conflicted.
split on it, and maybe 2 people raised their hands to object. Maybe they don't. I don't.
Well, I can just, because we hadn't been, I don't want to do a 2 people said and 2 if we're not doing a vote. So I can say that they were split. Were you saying something else?
No, my
Kevin?
thought was I was going to say it. I'm fine with it being filed later. I think if we're going to take up this issue and we have different amendments to this actual ordinance, that we need to hear all of the argument about this bill. And whatever, if her amendment is a better amendment, I want to hear what it is.
Okay.
And that's why I'm for letting it come in, so we can just discuss the whole thing and vote on this tonight and take care of it. So that's
fine.
Okay, so what I hear, because I'm trying not to get on the substance of the bill, which is not what we were supposed to be on. We're just doing the late fileness. So what I hear is the committee was split about it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Are we split?
Well, why don't we just take a vote? Who is okay?
You
with
had
it?
these that were okay with it.
1, 2, 3,
Then you had
4.
over
So we
here
have
who
4
were not.
okay, 1 abstain, and 1 no. So
I'm abstaining from it.
so we had 1, 2,
Okay,
3, 4.
okay, wait.
Vote.
So you all would rather do a vote?
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
That's not
yes.
what we had been doing in the past, but if you would rather do a vote to hear a vote on that, it's still going to end up split. So,
Can I-
okay, all those who are,
Okay, go ahead. But in the past, we kind of all agreed.
that's what I was saying,
Okay.
yes. So, it seems to be your wish to go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That is 1, 2, 3. Did you say aye?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. 1, 2, 3. All right, all those not in favor, against, say aye, nay.
Nay.
Okay. All those abstaining, please say 1, 2, nay. Okay. So it's 4, 3, 1.
So the majority
Correct?
supported it.
or 2.
It doesn't,
Did I not do right?
4, 1, 2 abstain.
Okay, 4 said that, and
1 no.
2 said
What did you
no.
say?
Are you count? I think she's
She's counting herself. So 4 said yes,
Yes,
1 said no, and 2
count me.
abstained.
You're right.
Way too much time.
Then it's 3-1-3 then.
Yeah, 3, 1, 3.
3 in
Doesn't
favor.
matter.
Right.
We're
One
going to hear it
against,
on the floor.
And then, yeah,
Next one.
yes.
So 3-1-3.
So that's still a split.
that should be a 3.
Why should that be a 3?
Because there are only 3 people.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, please, if you agree that we should do it, raise your hand, please. 1, 2, 3. 3. If you are against the late file amendment, please raise your hand. 1. If you abstain, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, that's what I had.
We didn't know you abstained.
My bad.
I thought she voted 4. I did too. 'Cause she
No,
raised her
I
hand.
was
so you
abstaining.
abstained.
Okay, so and there we have it. Okay.
Thank you for your attention.
So next we have Allen and O'Connor, the resolution supporting those affected by the Sunday mass shooting.
That's me.
If that is the correct
That's
one.
not Allen and O'Connell, that's Withers.
Okay, well, I'm telling you on my paper, so forgive me.
Can I speak about it?
I'm good with this one.
Forgive me.
I'll second it.
So, yes.
May I speak to the committee for just a quick minute?
Please.
Thank you, Elle, for your attention. Obviously, we have been through horrific shooting events here in Nashville, Tennessee, and we know how affected that community. In my hometown, this past weekend we had a really horrific shooting, which follows, in my hometown, a Ku Klux Klan demonstration, a series of 15 tornadoes that outbroke. The city's really struggling, and it really shook up the community. And as a little bit of a personal privilege, I wanted to do, something to send support from this body to the local body of my hometown, number one, just as a personal favor. But also, there are a couple things that I wanted to do and not do in the resolution. Number one is I wanted to thank those who helped to stop the shooting very quickly and saved a lot of lives. I included the names of those who died to recognize them, which I think is a good thing to do. The other thing that I did is to encourage lawmakers nationally to engage in productive discussions about this topic and what causes it and what doesn't and what solutions are and are not. I don't prescribe any particular solution. In my home state of Ohio, Republican Governor Mike DeWine came to Dayton and met with people, and basically the message of the people of Dayton was do something. They didn't say what it was, and that's what I would like to echo. Governor Mike DeWine in Ohio is considering that. I would hope that our legislative body here would do that too. Again, I don't prescribe a particular resolution to that, just to say that folks are hurting in our country from this, and we need better solutions than what we have, although I don't prescribe what they are. But it is timely because, number one, it happened this weekend, but also because in Ohio in particular, that is a topic that is being discussed right now, and Governor DeWine, in that case, is meeting with the General Assembly. I would like to, if it pleases the body, to send a letter.
Yes, there's urgency. We've got it. Yeah.
Yes.
And the reason was because it just happened.
In 10 minutes,
Yeah.
guys. A whole bunch of things we still got to
Okay,
get done.
so, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? You have it. Thank you, sir. And just for your, I don't know what's going to happen on the floor, but just for your knowledge, it is Allen and O'Connor are on here under that bill. Okay. So, next I've got ordinance 1614. And that is deleting section 1 in its entirety and substituting in lieu thereof. Would you please come up, sir, and kind of explain that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Councilman O'Connell's bill. It basically deals with outdoor signage on a very, very short stretch of road going through right downtown on I-40 and I-24, the whole connector downtown. Basically, it's what, mile and 3/4. It deals with outdoor advertising in CF zoning right now, and my amendment would literally change that to add CS zoning to it.
The reason it was late?
Basically playing fair across all parties involved in outdoor advertising.
The reason it was a late file amendment?
Because we had, let's just say it was an election week, and we went back and forth on a number of different alternatives on this, and it was decided yesterday,
It's good
literally,
for me.
Counselor, that, you know what, let's just keep this really simple.
The time.
And that's the reason
Okay.
for the late filing. I apologize for the late filing and ask your blessing in letting me present this.
I'm a yes.
Committee?
I have a problem because the LED sign, are you talking about substitute? Because it.
No. There's two things. One's a substitute. Scratch it. It's being withdrawn. It should have already been withdrawn.
Because this just says late file amendment.
It's amendment. All it does is add CS to CF.
Okay, so that's what we're
all it
voting
does.
on, that late file amendment, if we're okay with that.
Yeah, the substitute
Right.
is yanked.
Okay.
Sure. Because I think the sponsor of the bill plans on moving forward, so your urgency would be
Correct.
that's moving forward.
Freddie would like to
so-
move it tonight and get
Yeah.
it done tonight.
Okay,
And I
I got
would have
these.
waited
And then I've
until
got
the
a
next
rule,
meeting.
I got a
but-
rule suspension.
Okay,
that's not on
so, thank you, sir.
And it's also the
We
first time in
approve.
4 years I've asked for a suspension of the rules.
So,
there. I have a rule suspension that's not on there.
yes,
So, last time y'all were okay with
within the-
and approved my
the last numbers of it.
1706. So y'all were fine with my rule suspension last meeting. This is for a timely filed amendment, but a substitute, but it's third reading, so I'll be asking for a suspension of the rules because I have incorporated feedback from the walking horse industry. So I'll have a rule suspension to amend on third reading.
Everybody okay?
I don't think we ever say anything on that anyway.
Okay. All right, so now, what everybody is in here for, yay! Okay, so, I didn't have any others, yes? I've got elections and confirmations. You got a late file?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What's your number, the bill number?
I'll pull it out right now somewhere.
Okay.
We shouldn't criticize others when you got one too.
Right. Bill number 14, BL 1464.
1464, yes.
This bill I deferred indefinitely. I came up here to file. My intention was to get here before noon on Tuesday, but I didn't get here till 2 o'clock because my child was sick.
Okay. So you were late getting it in. That's the reason for the late file?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But I'll be deferring it tonight. I just have to get it back on the agenda so I can defer it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you all approve the
I
late
have a
file?
question from Jameson. Do we have to turn that letter in because I actually have a constituent wanting to put something back on similarly. Do we have to do that in person or can we send the email?
Send an email.
So an email could have been sent.
Well, what I was told, how I usually do is I get the bill from the clerk's office and I sign it and say, please put back on the agenda. That's how I've done it before.
Okay, so I'm going to ask, and you all please excuse me for being the mean chair because it's 6:26 now. I am going to ask, do you approve this or do you not approve it?
I'm fine.
I'm okay with it.
I'm fine.
Okay.
I think it could have been emailed.
Yeah, but, we have only one meeting, so I'm okay, interest of the,
Okay.
calendar.
I'm going to go now to elections and confirmations. And we are looking at the appointment of Mrs. Boosie. Okay, so I really messed that up, didn't I?
That's all right.
I'm so sorry.
Busey. Busey, like
Busey. Well, I saw the Lucy, but I thought it was, Okay,
Yeah,
so please come up. And this is for the Arts Commission to fill the unexpired term of Mr. Keaton. And I also have an appointment of Ms. Roberts. I'm going to ask both of you to come up at the same time, if you may. Ms. Roberts?
Sit on my lap or...
We can be buddies. And this is to serve to fill the unexpired term of Mr. Ewing. So I am going to I'm going to ask you both. Do you live in Davidson County?
Yes.
Okay. Are you an active voter in Davidson County?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Do you belong on any other boards or commissions that would prevent you from being on this?
No. No.
All right. So now I'm going to open it up to my committee members because they may have some comments or
Move for
questions.
Yes,
I think they look very artsy.
Very artsy.
We'd love to hear, more detail about Ms. Busey because what you do is so interesting, and I'm so welcoming you for the serving for the Arts Commission for the second term.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. But interest of the time, maybe you could invite us on your tour.
That certainly happen. It'll be lovely. It'll be fun.
Okay, so it has been moved and seconded. So all those in favor, please denote by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Congratulations. Thank you.
I think we actually need to take two votes. I'm sorry, that first was
Break them
on
out?
Ms. Busey because they are different deadlines.
Yeah.
Oh, different. Okay, so the first one, let's say,
I'm already in.
it was moved and seconded for Ms. Roberts. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, there it is. There's no.
There we go. Now we're official.
Sorry for that. That's good.
You need the parking. Who has the parking?
Thank you.
We don't have parking
I love your
tonight.
tour when I took.
You don't?
I think maybe
Oh, here we go. So, do you all need parking?
Ticket.
I don't. We lifted it here, so.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's only one.
The next one.
So, that other stuff too. That means looking like a fool. Okay, so, now for the reappointment of Mr. Gray for the Electric Power Board. Will you please come up?
Madam Chair,
Oh, he is not here, so.
had to defer. You remember last
This is
meeting,
deferred?
he had an emergency come up and was
Yeah.
not able to be here this time. He will be here the next meeting.
Okay, so
We'll just keep in
procurement.
mind that's the
That
third.
will be a third deferral, but he'll be here.
But can you confirm to us the date to the clerk? The letter that was dated to the clerk?
Can I, at this moment, I cannot. I can get you that.
Yeah, okay, so let's go on to the next one, because you will get that back to us. You will get that back to us?
I have it.
Okay, so Procurement Standards
back.
Board, the reappointment of Mrs. Raybaum.
I knew it was me.
You did, you are ready. For term expiring on July the 20th. Did I hear a motion?
Motion.
So moved. It has been moved and seconded. I am so sorry, I did not ask my 3 questions. Do you live in Davidson County?
Yes.
Are you an active voter in Davidson County?
Yes.
Do you belong on any other boards or commissions that would prevent you from serving on this one?
No.
Okay, are there any more questions?
I have a statement. She's one of my former students, and she was supposed to be the first black homecoming queen for Hunters Lane High School, and they said she missed it by one vote. I never believed it.
Wow, so it has been
Thank you for remembering that. I appreciate it.
I'll remember that for the rest of my
You
life.
say it was going to be the first homecoming queen or the first African
She's going
American?
to be the first African-American.
I was going to know how old she was exactly, so I said.
Okay then, so it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please denote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you so much. Excuse us for speeding through like that.
And I was more concerned about it than she was. She's like, Miss Haywood, it's okay. I said, no, it's not.
Okay, next we've got the reappointment of Ms. Peacock, and that is to the Social Services Commission. Yay! All right. Ms. Peacock, do you live here in Davidson County? Are you an active voter here in Davidson County? Do you belong on any other metro boards or commissions that would prevent you from doing this position?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then I'd like to open it up to see.
Second.
And it's been moved and approved. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you. Thank you for your service. And now, the appointment of Ms. Smith. Okay. And this is for the Solid Waste Region Board, expiring December the 15th. Hi there.
Hi there.
Do you live here in Davidson County?
I do.
Are you an active voter in Davidson
Yes,
County?
ma'am.
Do you belong on any other metro boards or commissions?
First board.
Oh,
Please don't say I look trashy.
Of course not.
Ms. Boosie.
It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Thank you so very much for your service.
You look like you on waste to be put in the right place.
Is there any other business before the council, before the... All right.
Without us.
Did I hear a motion for? Yes, move to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.